What up, guys? It's Casey here, and today we will be talking about hemophilia. Now, hemophilia is a medical condition in which the ability of the blood to clot is severely reduced, causing the sufferer to bleed severely from even a slight injury. Now, going upon this, I will give an example of an injury and what it would be like for a non-hemophilic and hemophilic individual. So, let's watch one.
And how much you pay for that taco?
Hey, yo, you know this, boy. He's got his free taco.
Now, you may laugh, but this individual looks severely hurt, as you can tell from him holding his wrist and his overall facial expression. Now, if he were a normal individual, upon the injury, he would then begin to bleed as usual. That would then be followed by his blood vessels constricting in order to stop the blood flow, and then the platelets in his blood clotting and blocking the patches or skids inside of the blood vessel. Now, let's say he had hemophilia, he would then fall and begin bleeding as usual. This would be followed by his blood vessels constricting as they normally would. Now, the problem with hemophilia comes when the blood is trying to clot. As it is clotting, it is done ineffectively and not thoroughly, which causes them to bleed more and more and more. This is due to the fact that their protein wasn't folded properly due to the infunctioning gene on their X chromosome. Now, you may be wondering, how exactly is hemophilia inherited? And that is a complex answer. Depending on the type, the disease is either dominant or recessive and can be passed down from the mother's X chromosome or the father's dominant traits. However, we will be focusing on the most common recessive gene from the mother. Now, we can see from the diagram that hemophilia A is contracted from a genetic mutation on the F8 gene, and hemophilia B from a genetic mutation on the F9 gene off of the X chromosome from the mother. Now, hemophilia A results in improper coagulation of factor F8, and hemophilia B results in improper coagulation of factor F9. Without these proper coagulations, the blood was not able to properly clot in times of injury. Now going on to hereditation. If a father without the hemophilia were to have children with a mother that is a carrier of hemophilia, there would be two regular children, both one boy and one girl. There would be a carrier daughter and a fully affected hemophiliac son. Now, if an affected father would have a child with a non-affected mother, two of the children being daughters would be carriers and there would be two normal males. We now know that hemophilia is when the blood does not properly clot. So what are the signs and symptoms to that? Pain in the joints, blood in the stool, heavy bruising, internal bleeding, swollen joints, and you never really stop bleeding. Most of these symptoms are very painful to a person who has hemophilia, and something that we can relate to as people without it is bursitis. Bursitis is an athlete's injury that is caused by the overuse of a joint. It usually occurs when the bursa sacs overfill or burst open inside of a knee capsule or any joint capsule to be specific. And within hemophilia joint swelling, we can see that the same thing happens. But instead of synovial fluid coming from the synovial sacs, it is instead blood that is internally bleeding underneath of the skin. Now, for hemophilia, there are numerous treatments and ways to go about this. There are hormonal doses, which will encourage the clotting of the blood. There are liver transplants, which will save where the biochemicals are made. There are strict dietary rules where you must eat low fats to thicken the blood and also restrain from aspirin or ibuprofen that thins the blood. You can also get blood transfusions that will have the correct platelets within the blood cells. According to the National Hemophilic Association, doing all of those treatments will result in a full and active lifestyle as long as you go within the restrictions of your own body. Now, this of course can come with some restrictions. People with hemophilia try to avoid physical activity to prevent an injury. Getting a concussion and possibly TBI could kill the person due to excessive brain bleeding. So, as a precaution, most people refrain from physical sports and or traction sports. Now, time for some fun fast facts with my adorable little kitty Todd. Notably, one of the most famous cases of hemophilia was in Prince Alexei Romanov. who was the grandson of Queen Victoria and also the Prince of Russia. Now, he had hemophilia and disregarded the wishes of his mother constantly and constantly played in the snow with his father. He then, after that, would always have internal bleeding and pain. Because of that, his mother turned to a priest of Russia named Rasputin. Now, Rasputin was a horrible man and nobody knew it. Well, I mean, the whole country did, but she didn't. But, anyways, Rasputin individually took over the entire royal family, killed them all, and then turned the country communist. Fun history.
It freaks! What will you learn? What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
March is also National Hemophilia Month. Last but not least, the word hemophilia. Hemo means blood and philia means the tendency toward. Therefore, the word hemophilia means the tendency to bleed.